Shortly after I arrived in the region, Jimmy Buffett came home to Orange Beach, Alabama to perform a concert to bring the crowds back to the Gulf. And it worked, at least for one weekend. Bars and restaurants near the beach were chock-a-block. If you've ever been to a Jimmy Buffett concert, you know the scene. Parrotheads know how to party with boat drinks and a soundtrack made in paradise. This was no different. While most people just wanted to play, I did find someone willing to talk about the reason why everyone was there.
Yes, I have lots of friends and lots of family that's involved with the oil industry, and from being from South Louisiana, that's most of the people there are in the oil industry. The moratorium that the Obama administration is trying to put on them is hurting them greatly. I don't think they realize the impact that it's going to have on the economy. That's all the way, not just Louisiana, that's Texas, all the Gulf states. It has so much impact. People are scared. They're very scared. I mean, that's just their livelihoods. And we're not sure with BP if they're ever going to cap it, what is going to happen if they do shut down all the drilling in the Gulf. The school systems, we get so much tax revenue from the oil industry, they're even having to go back before the school season starts again and redoing budgets because they're not getting the tax revenue that they need from the oil industry if the moratorium stands, which they haven't yet. But there's already platforms moving out. The drilling platforms are leaving. They're going to Brazil, Australia, Africa. They're already leaving. BP, from what I've seen, has a bad report as far as their operations go. Then there's some that's doing fine, and maybe they just haven't been caught. But I think this is going to tighten everyone's audit systems up, where they'll start doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, which should help it. Let the drilling continue, but definitely tighten up to make sure that the auditors are doing their jobs, because that's one thing that happened, that Washington was tied in with the big oil companies and everything was sliding, and that's what happened on this spill. And if they tighten it up, they haven't had a spill in probably 20, 30 years. They haven't had a spill. So, I mean, they've been doing a good job. It's just the slip up, I think, will tighten everybody back up.
Once the weekend was over, the beaches were deserted again. Why? Well, in spite of the fact that there was no apparent oil on the sand, the waters were closed to swimming. With that major attraction off the table, people went back to booking vacations to other destinations. In a report published on July 22nd, the Nolan Group, a company that does business development for the hospitality industry, surveyed facilities in the area. Their report stated, and I quote, "The survey conducted 2 weeks after the concert was completed found many hotels within 75 miles of Gulf Shores, Alabama, were booked, but future reservations failed to materialize. Specifically, of the hotels surveyed, 49% reported that more than half of their guests who stayed at their hotel attended the concert. In addition, 45% of the responding hotels stated that less than half of their guests attended that concert. Of those concert attendees, 41% stayed one night and 53% stayed 2 nights, making up for the evaporation of the usual weekend vacationers following the oil spill. Only 6% of the properties reported people staying 3 nights, and none reported anyone staying any longer. Other survey questions unearthed a little more insight into the situation. When asked the question, since the concert was held, what was the effect on your future bookings? No one reported any increases. The largest group, 41%, there was no change. 35% indicated there was some decrease in bookings, and 24% said their booking loss was large. 89% of those surveyed said the concert helped their business in a big way. The remaining said it helped at least a little. None reported that it had no effect or that it hurt business. Respondents also said that the concert was the single biggest help to them this whole season. That number came in at 53%. Other contributors to their businesses were in and out-of-state advertising for tourism and volunteer groups coming down to help with the cleanup. The final question might have been the most interesting and most obvious of all the ones they asked. It turned to the effect the press coverage was having on them. Nobody said that it helped them in any way, or that it was not a factor. 11% said that it hurt a little, and 89% said that it hurt a lot. That highlights a significant issue in the region's recovery from the spill. TV news reports generally run between 90 seconds and 2 minutes long. Print press has limited space and can only devote a finite number of column inches to each story. Add to that most outlets subscribe to the philosophy that if it bleeds, it leads. So pictures of oiled wildlife, tar balls, oil on the water, and cleanup crews dominate the imagery. The sad fact is, that's what draws readers and viewers. The combination of those two things paint a limited and negative picture of what's going on down here in the Gulf. It's simply very difficult to give a complete picture of what's happening in any kind of context in a very short period of time. If you watch the interview with Kenny De Niro, you'll understand that the situation is very complex with a lot of interrelated parts. It took Kenny over a half hour to recount his story. No news network or newspaper will ever devote that much time or space to one person's story. Their readers and viewers just won't spend the time. That leaves the world with an idiot's view of the real story, and it hurts the region's businesses. People will lose jobs, businesses, and if it lasts long enough, homes. You can help by coming down for a visit. Fishing is starting to open up. Catch and release now, catch and fillet maybe later, and boating is still good. If you golf, play a couple rounds. If not, go to the casinos, play some blackjack or poker, and see a show. The food's still as good as it ever was. Have some barbecue or big bowl of gumbo. Hotels are still open, and many have deals on right now. The flow from the well is virtually stopped, and the beaches are opening up again. Things are getting better, but they need some help. Right now, one of the biggest threats to the region is economic. The one thing you can do is come down and play a while.